Yo, is it weird if I say that Macau, the FIA GT World Cup at Macau was the best race of 2024? Does that make me reactionary? Because I thought it was. But it's kind of hard to explain why. Like, this is the first year that I've decided to watch or follow rather both the Formula race and the GT race in full. And let me just tell you from now, I legitimately think the main event, or maybe this is just this is just a reactionary take, but if we're being real, the main event should low-key be the GT race. Because if we're being real, the Formula race, the thing I realized about the Formula race is that there's so many amateurs doing it. There's so many juniors. I almost don't feel like this is a track you should trust juniors at. You know, because it's so easy to make a mistake. We're seeing all kinds of guys crash. Freddie Slater had the last lap crash. Tapanen was crashing in practice and quali. Like, it wasn't looking too good. Uga Chukwu bossed it like I literally predicted he would. Gotha bossed it just like I predicted he would. Slater almost bossed it. I literally predicted a Uga Chukwu, Gotha, Slater 1, 2, 3. And if Slater had nailed that overtake on the last lap, I would have gotten it. But moving on. The GT race is different, man. You see, the GT drivers are professionals. They don't just be putting anybody in GT. Well, maybe some of them. But they don't really just be putting anybody in GT cars. The guys that drove GT cars around Macau this year were straight professionals. We talking Mortara, Farfus, Marciello, Dries, Lawrence, Preining, Fuoco, all these guys. And you realize that there's just a higher quality of driving from them. You know, but the problem is they're driving GT cars. It's harder to pass. But despite that, I think thanks to the rain, the GT race at Macau may genuinely be my contender for best race of 2024. And let me tell you why. So, and it's funny, you'd think my standards are low the way I'm about to rave about what happened. But like, it starts when Fuoco passes Dries Van Thor. Fuoco gets by Dries Van Thor. He does this amazing move. This mental move that I'm going to put on the screen.
Second place. He's looking a tad more vulnerable. Fuoco has a think about the inside line down towards our bend. He's got the traction. He's got the line. Has he got the place? They're going to come through absolutely side by side. And Fuoco goes through. Antonio Fuoco up in the second place. And now we're going to see what, if anything, he can do about Marciello.
He sends it in the wet from way back. And the theme is the BMW was the fastest car around Macau, especially down the straights. Down the straights, the BMW could not be touched. It couldn't be touched. All the other cars had to just look in amazement at the straight line speed. So much so that they even brought in BOP after qualifying. But as you're going to see later, it was still not enough. Right? The BMW down the straight was still that car. So, yeah, Fuoco passes Dries Van Thor. He's in second now. Engel then murders Van Thor, takes Van Thor out of the race, which sucked because honestly, I think if Dries was still in this fight, it could have been even greater than it ended up being. But anyways, for the rest of the race, you watch Fuoco. Fuoco is hounding on Marciello, right? He is hounding on him. He is not letting him breathe. He's just staying right behind him the entire time. And then, oh my gosh. And then with 3 laps to go, coming to the line to start 2 laps to go, the last set of the track before we hit 2 to go. The very same move that Fuoco pulls on Dries Van Thor, he pulls on Marciello.
In the Ferrari, it was at this corner, he got past Van Thor, he's going to have a go. Full send on the inside, yes, he's gone through. Fuoco leads, here comes Marciello back up the inside. Absolutely toe-to-toe across the timing line. Fuoco's Ferrari in front then as they cross the beam. Antonio Fuoco with the...
Now, seeing that they're both the same move, I don't know which one is better. Maybe the one for the lead. But not only is this race of the year, I high-key think that this is overtake of the year. I think Fuoco, Jordy said it best, man. I think Fuoco's overtakes on the BMW is the best overtake period in racing all year. Because we're talking about heavy-ass GT3 cars around this tight, twisty track that's so twisty that there's a place you're literally forbidden from passing at. And in the wet, Fuoco makes this insane lunge on Marciello and he takes the lead. But this is where things go crazy now. So we're going down the straight. Fuoco has a decent gap He has a decent gap on Marciello going down the straight. And it's as if DRS turned on. Marciello and his BMW were hounding him near the end of the straight, and he's making gains on him. And then out of nowhere,
Now comes under pressure, defence as they go into this boat, and they both come straight.
and it has to be said because Fuoco did do this. Fuoco moves under braking. Antonio Fuoco moves under braking. Basically, here's the argument. There's one half of people saying that Marciello was never making the corner based on how he braked. And then there's the other half that are saying Fuoco's fault because he moved under braking. The facts are, Fuoco did move under braking. And if you think he should get a penalty for that, then fair enough. Because at the point at which Fuoco goes to cover off Raffaelli, he's braking at that point. So for him to be in front of Marciello means he had to have moved under braking in the wet. So as a result, Marciello gets into the back of him because there's nothing he can do. If he veers left at that point, he's going into the runoff anyways. So he just takes Fuoco with him. The two of them go off the track, right? The two of them go off the track, and all of a sudden, Mauro Engel is leading the Macau FIA GT World Cup, right? Mauro Engel's leading, and it's not even that simple because then after that, you know what happens? They penalize Engel only then. Only then do they penalize Engel for killing Dries Van Thor earlier. And then it becomes out, it's a 5-second penalty, which means that Farfus, who's basically materialized into P2, now has a chance to win the race. But he didn't have enough time. So Farfus starts pushing. But it's too little too late. Engel wins. He takes the 5-second penalty and he wins the race by like 6.6. So he wins by 1.6 seconds at the end. And Augusto Farfus loses the Macau World Cup by like less than 2 seconds. And it makes me think, if they had given Engel the penalty earlier, there's no doubt in my mind, I think Farfus would have won the race. Because Engel was trapped behind Fuoco and Marciello. And there's nothing he could have done. He was trapped. He was in jail. The Merc wasn't good enough. He didn't have the same confidence as Fuoco to make those moves. That's why he had to kill Dries. I'm not saying he did it on purpose or anything, but he did, yeah? Guys, the race was so good. Like, I wanted this to be like some kind of full fleshed out video. But genuinely, just go watch it, man. Just go watch it. I couldn't believe what it was worth staying up for. I think it's a contender for best race of the year. Yeah? I think it's a contender for best race of the year. Go watch it. Mauro Engel won the FIA GT World Cup. And it was cinema from start to... Well, maybe not from start to finish, but from 7 laps to go to the end. It was amazing. Rant over. Thanks for listening.